Hello Vlogalogue. Yet again it's one of those weeks where I don't really have a lot to say because George and Alex said it all and I'm just stuck here again going, well, everything that needed to be said has to say. Obviously I don't actually believe that Kevin thinks that new media is a failure. I think he's just trying to bait people into saying things, but I'm cool with that. Interestingly, what George said is that he got his job from new media from doing the YouTubes, and that's how I got my job too. Admittedly, there were some other factors involved there too, but that's the main reason I got my job. I was like, hey, I know how to use cameras and editing software and things and stuff. I am passionate about film. But then he goes on to be like, oh, and there's this BBC moving to all new media. Yeah, but the BBC is an old institution. We'll talk about how the conversation is about how new media is revolutionizing how people consume media, the chances of people to create and consume media, choice, and all that's actually happening there. The example that you used is an old traditional media company just transferring platforms. That's not a success story for new media. That just shows that people are paying attention to it. And a success story of new media is not one company that's big and famous and already has the resources to do what it's doing moving somewhere else. It's about, you know, being built up from the very ground on new media. Being successful in one group of media or in one business strategy is not difficult if you're already successful in another one, if that makes sense. It's not a good thing for new media that BBC Three says, hey, let's just move on to new media because it's cheaper and we can produce that awful fucking content that we keep producing, but put it on the internet so it will be cheaper. I suppose this actually jumps into what I wanted to talk about, which was how that Kevin is actually kind of right, because new media as a social platform, as a media platform, as a social networking site, as some people have pointed out, and as like a thing that we consume, as others have pointed out. Yeah, okay, it's pretty interesting. It's a pretty big revolution in how we use things. But economically, not really. It's okay, I guess there's the argument to be made for like people like me and George who have done this and then made it into kind of our jobs, and it's kind of got us the blagging rights to then go and do an actual job. But that's it. We've gone and done an actual job. From like an economic point of view, all new media is just more money for the old companies, and that is not a success, that's a failure. What's happened is there's been this big new thing where anybody could have won, and it was a level playing field, and then it's gone, well actually no, fuck all of you, let's just give it to Comcast. There was this whole belief and hope that, at least from an economic point of view, you know, I'm a filmmaker, or I'm a musician, or I'm a whatever, and using the internet I can now make my living through this. I don't have to rely on the big media companies anymore. And yeah, to some extent that's true, but nowhere near as true as it should be or could have been. In terms of economically revolutionizing stuff, the potential of new media to change the economic potential of people has just been pissed up the wall completely. Sites like YouTube are starting to let down a lot of their segments, like music. It's so difficult to make music or animation on YouTube anymore because it doesn't suit the YouTube algorithms. And yeah, there are exceptions to that rule again, but it's just there are some really talented people that new media is letting down every single day. I mean, really, all that new media has done is gone, hey, there's this whole, rather than there being like film, and then there's TV, and then there's music, and then, you know, within there, there's all this gone, and also there's new media, i.e., you know, the internet. Let's see who can be successful at that. And then you're back to a situation where it's the 1% dictating what you watch and what is made on that platform again. Yes, I can still make a video like I am now and put it on a channel for a few people to see, and I appreciate that. That's not to say I don't appreciate the few people who do watch, but that's not economically revolutionary in any way, shape or form. If anything, it's counterintuitive. I'm pissing away my time here when I could be earning a wage. So I guess what I'm trying to say is if you sort of detach, if you say, well, okay, yeah, it's allowed a lot of more people to experience a lot more educational and cultural and social things, and there's this whole argument to be made for it being a social network, which is why I'm now on a collab channel with a bunch of people Kevin excluded, who I've never actually met. And there's been people on who we've never actually met, who we have some kind of connection with because of the internet and new media, and that's great. But from an economic point of view, all that's actually happened is the old breed have won again. A few people have been lifted up with them, and the same stupid, I don't even know the word, degrading? No. The same stupid, unfair systems that encourage disparity have just been transferred over within a few years of its conception. God, my words are ballsing up right now. There is this economic downfall of new media. By no means that it's a failed experiment, and there are all the, you know, the social and the cultural and the educational implications to still be had with new media, and how it will revolutionize, you know, the way that we do thing X for years to come still, and probably as long as it's around and keeps evolving, it will continue to do that. But just economically, it's failed. Goodbye, Vlogalogue. I will see you in the comments, or if not, I will see you next week.